Banff is one of the world's oldest national parks. It's one of the world's most iconic national parks, and it has one species that belongs here that's missing.
It's interesting to think, well, what's next in sort of making sure the park is whole or has ecological integrity where all the parts are in place and all the processes are working. And a key piece to think about is that the long-term fire regime in Banff, what First Nations did in Banff, how this whole valley and this meadow was sort of made over time, probably ties back to, in the valley bottom here, to the presence of bison.
There was recently a study done of intact large mammal assemblages around the world, and Banff Park was left off it because it doesn't have buffalo. And that bugs me. It's not right. This national park, which is our icon of conservation, should be complete, and it is incomplete until Plains bison return wild in this valley.
What's interesting is that bison are a grazer, so now that this meadow is starting to recover and we're starting to get shrubs all around it, bison would keep the center of it open by grazing, but we wouldn't have the browsing issues that we'd had historically with animals such as elk that were browsing the valley very, very hard and removing a lot of species like aspen and willow.
The Bow Valley has grassland habitat appropriate for buffalo. So does the Red Deer River Valley. They were here. Change is always sometimes difficult for folks. Why make change? It's a wonderful place now. What does this mean if there's change? And this is actually a return to normal, not a change. It's just our sense of what normal is a very brief sense relative to this valley.
I'm Ross Clues. I'm the president of the Sundre Fish and Game Association. I've been the president this is my third term, I think, second or third. And I live in Sundre, involved with the community heavily. I believe that since they have been gone from the countryside and the landscape for so long, I believe that having the people get used to it, having them around is going to be the issue. For backcountry users, I might have to have kind of a little bit of an education program for them to, hey, this is what's new in here, and this is why we're reintroducing it, because it was a natural species at one time. They did come all the way up here.
Since the elk population have gone down, like we never seen one the whole trip, I think if people go out there and they start seeing bison, and I think it'll make people more interested in going out there and maybe passing it on in generations instead of people just hanging out in the city.
If they get them set up so they make their own migration routes without going east or too far west, they should do really good, actually.
One option there is to work with what's sort of called a bison stewards group, which would be a group of stakeholders, volunteers, maybe some paid employees, whose main job is to look at how to fit bison back into this landscape.
They want to get our opinions on this situation and get a few of us on the other side of the park there, on the east side of the park, to kind of manage the east side, making sure that they don't get too far out into the public lands and stuff, eh?
My name's Tim Barton, and I have a outfitting business right up against Banff Park. Because we live in this environment, we notice tracks, we notice things that are not normal from day to day. It's not that we're experts, but it doesn't take a PhD to measure a track. We found buffalo skeletons right in this yard, 3 of them actually that I can identify, and they're apparently very, very old, because a friend of mine has quite a large buffalo herd, and he just took one look and said the horns don't come out of their head that way anymore, so they've been here for a while. Yeah, I wouldn't mind being part of a program that's involved trying to make this thing successful.
That's why I'm here. I would really like to help them out there on that part there, just going in and like I told Ross and Cliff, we could go in there, do the counts, and see where they've moved to, make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. And yeah, I'd definitely go out there and chase around and check it out.
Oh yeah, I love coming out here. I've seen country that I've never seen before, and it seems like a very solid project, and I would love to be a part of it.
I like the outdoors and everything else, and yeah, I'd like to be involved in this on a personal note.
It's so fundamental to this place that we get all the pieces back that belong here. Just like we work so hard to keep grizzly bears in the system, we need to bring buffalo back into the system.
I think we can work towards a sort of a win-win scenario where you'll have bison to see in the park, the ecosystem will work the way it used to, and it's be very, very few issues with agriculture or urban developments along the eastern boundary of the park.